I saw genital warts for the first time the other day.
Ooh.
They're gross. They look just like I thought they would.
Warts on your genitals?
Warts on your genitals, yeah.
Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be fucked up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis. Okay, hi. Welcome to Occultae Veritatis podcast. I am Sage Murray.
Ood Gallifrey.
Leon Filger.
And joining us in studio,
Amy.
Nice. All right, so we're going to get started with some poison because I'm going to be talking about ghosts and UFOs.
So, what's your poison?
All right, so for poison today, we are drinking Fruity Premium Strawberry Beer.
Ooh.
So Mr. Sage Murray brought home 4 because apparently they were giving out samples at the liquor store and he liked it. But then after he had finished one, he's like, I can't have any more of this. Please take this to your podcasting today. So instead of shitty fridge beer, my lovely partner has bestowed upon us some weird-ass strawberry beer.
Yeah.
Premium Belgian white fruit beer.
Yeah.
Strawberry fruity.
Yeah.
I fucking love this shit.
It's so good.
I loved it the first time I tried it. I love any kind of beer that's sort of like this because it's fruity, but it's not a cooler because I still like beer and it's still got beer taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't come up with my rating yet, so keep talking.
I think that fruity beer often gets like a bad name. Like as soon as you say that something's like raspberry or strawberry flavored, people seem to like automatically turn their nose up. But this is really nice tasting.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely an easy drinker.
I'm going to call it easy drinking, like come fresh out of a dick, like dick to mouth immediately versus like dick to
linoleum
petri dish to linoleum to arm and then into mouth. That's the difference. Because one is totally okay and the other is grossly gross.
Yeah.
And so this is like fresh semen.
Man, you're operating at a way higher sex level than I am. I barely have towels ready and you have petri dishes.
Okay, well, I will give it like a 7 out of 10 because I could only drink one of these.
Yeah.
Because it's sweet, but this one is going to be good.
Yeah, I think for diving into some UFO bullshit, this will be perfect because it's light and fruity.
It is like
we are nine days into dry February, and I just quit.
Oh shit! Oh, by the way, on that note, I guess we'll add this into this What's Your Poison. We've gotten a couple emails and a couple messages saying that some people who I guess are recovering alcoholics and stuff have a hard time with What's Your Poison. So,
or just people who don't drink.
Yeah, or just people that don't.
People,
yeah. So me and Daniel ran out with the podcast credit card, and we're gonna make more of an effort to drink some non-alcoholic stuff from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because we love you too.
Oh yeah, we're still gonna be drunk in the studio though. Because
there's no stopping me.
We're all emotionally vulnerable people, and this is some hard shit to talk about. So we need to get a little fucked up.
Yeah. All right. What do you rate it, Ood? Did you
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's good.
In the hills of Utah, there are whispers.
What the fuck was that?
And untold legends.
I'm starting to feel more like the hunted rather than the hunter.
It's getting closer.
A haven for monsters.
Still maggots on it, so it's still really fresh.
Aliens.
In that sky, there's something directly overhead. Have you seen that?
And ghosts.
I hear something and I feel it around me, but I can't see it. Just this energy.
They call it Skinwalker Ranch. 20 years ago, the Sherman family bought a small chunk of land in this area to use as a farm.
A family only lasted 20 months on this farm. They were driven off of it.
But they were constantly assaulted by these weird phenomena, and the family had reached a stage of crisis.
In 1996, hotel billionaire Robert Bigelow bought the ranch from the Sherman family in order to conduct experiments under the banner of his private aerospace company.
Bob Bigelow put more financial support into paranormal UFO-type research than any person in the history of the world.
There's some kind of either Stargate or natural portal. Bigelow is after this ancient technology.
Within the decade, the U.S. Department of Energy and Department of Defense arrived and took over the project. Now, the place is guarded like Fort Knox.
Not just the government, and it's not just the security that Robert Bigelow has there on the ranch. There's many other dangers here. They've got 500-pound wolf-like creatures,
UFOs,
raptor sightings,
shadow people,
lake monsters,
a 9-foot beast,
seen orange lights,
blue orbs,
some kind of Stargate technology. Portal opens up and weird creatures come through.
Shape-shifting wolves,
witches.
And of course, there's the Skinwalkers.
For this time, I did the Skinwalker Ranch. It's also known as the Sherman Ranch, and it's the site of paranormal and UFO-related activities. It's been touted as one of the most mysterious places on Earth. There's been poltergeist activity, interdimensional portals, shape-shifting humanoids, and mutant wolf encounters.
Sounds like bullshit.
I'm ready.
So it's located in Utah.
Ooh, Utah. Mm-hmm. That's the home of the Mormons, right?
Home of the Mormons. It's pretty close to Salt Lake City.
I bet a lot of Mormons are furries.
If you're a Mormon, let us know if you're a furry. So some people have attributed the phenomena to the original Navajo legend of the Skinwalker, which is a person who can transform into an animal of choice.
Mm.
So the legend, I'm literally just reading this because I'm a white person. And
Anthropomorphism.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. I've had like a sip of this. So the colonialists in that area pushed the local Native American tribes out of the area, and this caused the curse of the Skinwalker to occur.
When you hear the name Skinwalker, fear comes into your spirit, into your soul. You're afraid to even use his name. According to Native American legend, Skinwalker is a person that transformed into an animal.
The Skinwalker is particularly associated with the Navajo. The broad concept of the Skinwalker is of a shapeshifter, a witch-like or sorcerer-like being that's able to change its shape.
Like a werewolf, Skinwalker can transform from a human to an animal, any animal, but mostly a coyote or a wolf.
And there was a shaman healer whose name is Michael Robichaud, who's white. Surprise!
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that the area is an interdimensional doorway to another realm. So,
as one does.
That's vague.
Yeah, it's real vague. So, it all kind of started in 1994 when Terry and Gwen Sherman bought they bought an acreage with 480 acres of land in the I don't know how to pronounce this. Uintah? Uintah?
Sure.
Uintah? Basin area of Utah.
If we've insulted anybody from that area and you send us an email, we will read it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So it had been completely untouched and unoccupied for years. They discovered these heavy iron stakes with metal chains at each end of the house, as though someone had chained up large animals to guard the doors. Padlocks were bolted onto many of the doors inside and out, suggesting that previous occupants might be concerned for their safety.
How much of this was just like standard security back then, though?
Yeah, I don't know. This was like they discovered in 1994, and it had been unoccupied for years.
Yeah.
So none of this made any sense to the Shermans, but they just kind of shrugged it off. The day after they moved all their stuff into the house, this enormous wolf showed up. It was larger than any wolf the couple had ever seen.
I mean, I think that depends. Like a wolf right outside your front door is a lot bigger than a wolf at the tree line.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a wolf doing there? Don't they generally stay away from people?
Yeah. But this one came right up. It came up to chest height on over 6 foot tall Terry, the dad.
If it's become friendly with humans, like if humans have been feeding it, sometimes they become tame like that.
They estimated its weight at 200 pounds. So they were obviously nervous at first because there was this gigantous wolf in their yard. But the wolf didn't display any hostility. The two kids of the couple, like they called the kids out, being like, "Hey, look at this friendly wolf." They wanted to keep it as a pet. It was being so friendly. So Terry had just put a bunch of like prize-winning calves because he wanted like a cattle ranch. That's why they bought the property. They put a bunch of calves in a pen, and then the wolf just bold as brass, just went into the pen and grabbed this calf by the head and tried dragging it out.
Christ.
Yeah.
Poor calf.
Yeah, so Terry tried kicking the wolf in the ribs and beating it with a stick, but it wouldn't let go. So then he shot it twice with his magnum gun, which probably should have killed the wolf, but it just like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
And just kept pulling it out.
I mean, depending where he hit the wolf, it could have just been superficial. Like if he just hit muscle instead of like the engine room or the torso where all the organs are, it could have kept on going.
Mm-hmm. So then he shot it another couple times, but it didn't die. Yeah. Then he went and got his shotgun from his truck and shot it twice more. He shot it in the chest, like it should have killed the wolf, but it just ran off. Terry tried tracking it, but the tracks ended suddenly as if it had vanished into thin air.
When was this?
1994.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was 1894 when guns were a lot shittier, but yeah, 94. I mean, decent modern gun
from a pretty close range.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a weird thing. So this was just a prelude to the other weird shit that would start happening.
Mm.
They noticed these strange balls of light that seemed to just hang in the sky. They saw unnatural lights in the sky. They heard voices that seemed to come from right above their heads.
Which could be ball lightning, or it could be.
I'll go into that after. I've got a whole page of it.
Of course. Yeah.
They saw faces in the windows and apparitions standing at the foots of their beds.
All I needed to hear a ghost story, and I'll start seeing those things.
Yeah. And then so the whole family started to have like these crazy, terrible, awful nightmares. Stuff would disappear in the house and then reappear somewhere else. One day, Gwen brought groceries into the house and unpacked them onto the counter, like to put them away. She got distracted by something and turned away for a second, and when she turned back, the groceries were back in the bags as if they had not been taken out at all.
Oh, boy.
I know. So then the family began to smell this really strong musky scent that couldn't be explained. They began finding their prized cattle dead in the field, completely mutilated. Some had their genital areas mutilated. Another had an eye completely removed as if surgically. The cattle were disappearing at an alarming rate. They lost 20% in 2 years, which compared to the 1% that most ranchers in that area faced is pretty high.
And when meat is money, that's a lot.
Exactly.
I'm normally a very private person, but I'm willing to do this because it's just something I want some answers to.
Henry County rancher Lynn Mitchell is perplexed. She found one of her 1,500-pound cows dead in the pasture on July 19th. Its tongue sliced out, its heart exposed.
It wasn't detached, it was just hanging out there.
Something similar happened just 3 weeks earlier.
I looked at first to see her tongue was gone, then immediately noticed the udder had completely been removed.
Lynn says this cow's reproductive organs were gone too. Making the death more mysterious, this char mark, still visible today, surrounded the cow. Lynn couldn't believe it was happening again. She found the first cow more than a year earlier, December of 2011.
She had obviously been cut on the side of her jaw. Her tongue was gone, her ear was gone.
In all 3 deaths, Lynn says the cuts were clean, like they were done during a surgery, and there was no blood despite the animal's gaping wounds. And since the cows graze in such an isolated place, nobody saw or heard a thing. The sheriff's department and a veterinarian have investigated, but just like Lynn, they can't find an answer.
The more it happens, the more questions you get, and the more you try to research and learn, you find more and more things that make you ask more questions.
With all the reasonable causes debunked, Lynn says she's open to the possibility that extraterrestrial life could be responsible. Similar cases of animal mutilation have been reported in Missouri in the past few years. The FBI nearly investigated in the 1970s. With the unsolved mysteries looming, aliens have become a common answer. Lynn's not sure what's right. She just wants it to stop.
Something happened to these cows, and it's not something that you see every day. It's not in your normal, so something else is going on.
The orbs of light seemed particularly interested in the cattle and would linger over their heads.
Hey, so this Fruity is a full 30% pure strawberry juice.
Oh, nice.
That's why it's so damn sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
30%.
That's good.
That is good. Sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
I was just reading it and got excited.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I love it. So these weird lights would come up over the ranch and blanket the sky in near daylight conditions. Strange animals were seen roaming around. Tropical birds were spotted in the trees. The dogs were scared and wouldn't come out.
Tropical birds in Utah.
Yep.
I mean,
allegedly.
At a pet store.
Yeah, or somebody's collection got out.
Yeah. So the dogs, they eventually started chasing the orbs of light, which Terry encouraged to like get the orbs away.
Yeah.
So this one time, they were chasing these orbs and they quickly disappeared into the darkness. Terry heard like high-pitched yelping, and he came across 3 scorch marks on the ground with gooey lumps in the middle.
Oh no!
The next day, and the dogs never came back.
Oh, I laughed. I thought the dogs were coming back.
No, the dogs did not come back. They were allegedly scorched into gooey lumps.
Oh.
Yeah.
One time a few years ago, me and Richard Bigley went to a haunted church.
Oh.
And we took a picture of me in the church. And then when we got back, we photoshopped a ghost into the picture and we showed it to people. And some of them were scared.
Nice. Cool story.
There was no real ghost.
I just can't believe you actually went into a church. That's the weird thing.
It was like an old abandoned, like terrifyingly old church where like we're going to do an episode about this church at some point. We're recording from inside the church.
Yeah.
And we got to figure out how we can avoid getting arrested by the RCMP for trespassing. But we are doing an in-church overnight stay recording.
If you're gonna do that, I want to be there.
Yeah, I figured you might be.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
And I'm going to try to conjure Satan.
Sweet.
I'm going to get a severed goat's head.
Hey, I'm here. Hello. You don't need to conjure me.
And draw the pentagram out on the floor of the church and the whole kit and caboodle.
Yep.
So if you're in,
I'm hella in.
Okay, that sounds fine.
I'm gonna look up every curse and way to summon whatever in the book and try it that night.
Like there's a graveyard there with entire families buried in plots who died of the Spanish flu. Like whole families, right down to the baby, in one mass grave. I want to talk to them.
Yeah. I have an Ouija board.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to use that too.
There we go. If you want to hear that shit, just join the Patreon.
Yep.
Maybe when it warms up, we can do that.
I'm going to try to have sex with a ghost.
Sweet.
Do you hear about that woman who got married to a pirate ghost and then got divorced because the pirate ghost wasn't attending to her needs?
Yeah.
No.
It's a thing.
That's too bad.
I know.
Sounds terrible.
Yes.
See, ghost touch
I
condom.
feel like that was my second marriage.
I do too. So anyway, the kids' grades dropped. They had so many nightmares that they were all kind of like staying in the same room because they were so scared, and obviously things were really scary. There were huge financial losses from the killing/disappearance of cattle. So the family talked to a journalist at a Salt Lake City newspaper, and very soon were approached by a buyer. So in 1996, a hotel entrepreneur named Bigelow paid, I know.
If you grew up in the 90s, you understand.
Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo.
Bigelow's a brand of tea.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good tea.
Man, that I bet if I watched that movie again, it did not age well.
No, I highly doubt that it aged.
Do I trust Deuce Bigelow, European gigolo, to portray sex workers accurately and kindly?
Nope.
Ooh.
I somehow doubt that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy Bigelow paid the Sherman family $200,000 for the ranch and turned it into a research facility to study paranormal activity.
Did they get government grants?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it was just a rich dude.
Okay. Rich, eccentric fellow.
Yeah. So the Shermans moved to another ranch 25 miles away, but Terry agreed to stay on as the ranch manager to look after like the cattle and stuff. They were doing their test. Yeah. So Bigelow established the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS.
Was that the acronym he was going for?
I don't know, but that's what they call it, is NIDS.
Okay, so naming stuff is not his forte, apparently.
No. So he hired psychologists, engineers, physicists, biologists, vets. So he kind of got this thing kind of started, but it wasn't until January of 1997 that weird shit really started happening.
We learned that it's in charge, that's for sure. I mean, did we learn anything? Absolutely. And I think what we learned was that the events were certainly real and tangible and definitely occurring. These weren't figments of somebody's imagination or folklore or any of these sorts of things.
A lot of people, when they hear about the ranch, are pretty terrified about what had happened. Did you feel terrified being on the ranch?
No. But again, remember, when the ranch is discussed, you glom all of these events together in a very short time frame. Most of the time up there, it'd be just the same as you and I sitting in these chairs today. I mean, that's what you'd feel about it. You'd be really bored, you know, just going up and looking. One of the people who was with NIDS, Eric Davis, many of them will know, seemed to have things that associated with him. So sort of sensitive to these issues, or the phenomena was sensitive to him. So, because he heard things and sensed things that others of us didn't.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So, and it appears that even though animals were affected and of course damaged at times, no human was hurt.
No, there was nobody injured or anything of that nature. But I think there were people, you know, you're hearing some of the stories, and rightfully be concerned. But it's very easy to spook yourself. I mean, let's understand there are psychological issues here that we fully understand. And, you know, people going out at night and whatnot, you can talk yourself into being spooked over almost anything.
Mm-hmm. I guess, what are some of the other unusual events that really baffle you or that you think about often when you think about Skinwalker?
Well, the one that I mentioned that I thought we have the most physical evidence for is one in which we had, again, multiple cameras, and you have cameras facing out. And if this is camera 1, and it can see camera 2, and then there's 3 and 4 over there. But at a certain point, the tape stops. The cameras were on top of platforms. They went up, they had PVC and connectors holding them in near the ground, and so it went in underground back to the place where the recorders were. There was a huge amount of duct tape holding the wires on the way out. And we know at some point the wires were jerked loose and the camera stops recording. And all of the duct tape on that post is gone, not cut or down, it is gone. The PVC clamps are gone. The PVC post is just pulled back. There's a chunk cut out of the wire for about 3 feet that's just missing. Now, at the time that this occurred, or we believe it occurred, the cattle just happened to be around that pole at that time. And yet, when you look at the camera that's staring at them, they don't move. We looked at, could you sneak up behind the one pole out of camera range? The answer is really no. But more importantly, anytime a person got close to cattle, they'd scatter anyway. And you see absolutely no reaction from them whatsoever. And yeah, we absolutely know that this extensive damage took place. And, you know, freeze frame, well, we're doing frames at the second and the third between frames running continuously. So, you know, to do all that in a second and a third is quite remarkable. You have real physical damage that was done. You know exactly when it was done. You have no idea how it could be done. And we looked at, it came up with no theoretical probabilities of a way to accomplish that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the event sounds so enigmatic that it's difficult to come up with any sort of idea of what might be going on. Do you ever speculate about what could be at play here?
Well, again, I would take you back as the precognitive sentient phenomena, because that's one event. There were any number of other things equally disturbing, equally spread out over time and space, equally different in the way that the presentation took place. So you end up with the trickster.
And this sentient, intelligence, would you speculate that it would be natural to Earth or possibly extraterrestrial in nature?
I have no idea. I mean, and when you get into that, postulating almost anything is possible, but we do not have any solid evidence that supports any of the theoretical possibilities.
Just a genuine mystery.
Yeah, it's certainly a mystery. There's no doubt about that.
So the NIDS team, Terry called Bigelow and said there's something really weird happening. So the NIDS team flew out and found an 85-pound calf spread eagle, just like splayed out with one leg yanked out at the knee socket, and it was placed kind of away from the body as if it was being staged.
You told me this was just a light ghost story.
This is pretty light.
Yeah. And like for the people that have gone hunting out there, in order to display something, you have to cut through the belly and the neck and the hips because you can't splay it out otherwise. So
gross.
Yeah.
This calf was entirely drained of blood and half of its internal organs were missing. And one of its ears were missing, as if like neatly just like shorn off, just snipped. Then bulls started going. So one night a bunch of bulls went missing and they found the bulls all inside this one tiny cattle trailer, just like packed super tightly inside as if they were like scared into there.
Maybe it was cold.
Yeah. Maybe it was cold. So there were over 400 UFO sightings in the area that started from the 1950s. Orbs came out of nowhere and seemed to sometimes threaten and follow cattle around. I'm not sure how orbs can be threatening.
They shake your fist.
So the NIDS team noticed that a faint yellow light, one night they noticed that a faint yellow light appeared 150 feet away from them. It transformed into a tunnel, and a researcher saw a large faceless humanoid come out of the tunnel and lumber away. And there were no footprints and no signs of it.
Were they on shrooms?
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure I've seen those same things.
Yeah.
And then one time, Terry and Gwen saw a brownish hyena creature attack horses that left bloody claw marks on them.
Gross.
A hyena.
Yep. And then
in Utah?
Yep.
They don't have them there.
I know. And then there were also sightings of a huge bipedal creature near Sundance, Utah in 2014. In 2006, there was a bright red light, and a dude named Ryan Skinner, who's a UFO enthusiast, who has like a bunch of books. Don't die.
Hold on. Who's dying?
I'm good.
Okay. And his fiance saw 3 hazy figures emerge. They weren't human. The light kind of followed the fiance and Skinner, and then it mutated into alien faces. Jesse Ventura, who is a former pro wrestler and also a governor of Vermont or something.
Not Vermont.
I don't know.
Montana.
Whatever.
Well, I just think to save our country, we need to abolish the political parties, make them political action committees.
Cue Jesse Ventura clip.
Yeah.
Him yelling at Alex Jones.
Well, he'd filmed an episode there, and so did Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So was this a portal to another world? So some possible explanations. Insects and animals will often eat the soft parts of an animal, such as genitals and eyes. Or they will go through the genitals to get inside to the sweet, succulent innards.
That's how I do it.
In regards to things looking like they've been drained of blood, oftentimes the blood will settle to the bottom of the animal, and then insects will and animals will eat it.
Yep, just like when a human dies, all the blood settles down to one place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then often corpses will bloat, be full of the dead gas, and then they'll split cleanly, and then the organs will be eaten out of them.
Flashback to body after death.
Yeah.
The way I described a human body decomposing is the same as any other mammalish thing.
Yeah.
A reptilish thing, probably.
Yeah. In regards to the orbs, it could have been marsh gas, static electricity, fireflies, or even car headlights broken up in the trees.
So I dissected a pig kidney.
Yeah,
day
I saw
before
those.
yesterday.
I saw those pictures.
It smells like piss.
Really?
Would you believe? A kidney smells like piss and made my clothing smell like piss.
Oh.
And when I got home, Mrs. Leon Filger said, "You smell like you pissed yourself." And I said, "No, I dissected a kidney." It's real weird inside. It was much more exciting than I thought it would be, but fuck.
Gross.
It's piss stink.
Piss stink.
Is it like broccoli?
No, it's not at all. It's bizarre and hard and crispy white bits.
Hard and crispy white bits?
And pouches. Pouches that hold urine and lead to bigger pouches that hold urine in the ureters with. And did you know that only 10% of the water that goes through your kidneys actually gets turned into urine? The rest of it goes back into your bloodstream and just whoop away it goes.
I swear I'm not a serial killer because I'm bad about hiding details. I wouldn't be able to get, but I just want like 5 hours with a pig body because that sounds fascinating.
It is. Having dissected a cow heart, a pig heart, and now a pig kidney, yeah, it's the bodies are pretty sweet.
Cool.
I'd like to dissect more.
White crispy bits, Christ.
White crispy kidney bits.
Yeah, kind of like cauliflower embedded in purple.
I love cauliflower.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my episode. It was pretty short.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Like the descriptions of the animals being ripped apart, like they didn't really convince me much at all. Like the holes drilled in the calf's eyes and all that. Like it could be just bugs trying to get to the eyeball.
Exactly.
And I was actually researching wolves for, the facts that I post on the Twitter page and all that. And wolves will often go for the organs first because that's where the most nutrients are.
Yep.
Because they have the intestines and the already digested shit nutrients and all the other parts in there.
Well, and what's the easiest way to get into a body? Through the soft, squishy bits like genitals and eyeballs.
Yeah. And like an eyeball was removed or a bug ate it or
Yeah.
bugs ate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like blowflies, like they did studies like on in cadaver labs where you just like leave a body there and like blowflies will just like completely liquefy an eyeball and it looks precise and like they'll snip away all the dead pieces of flesh and it looks like someone will have cut it out, but it's just like little bugs nibbling.
Yeah.
When someone's dying in palliative care, oftentimes they've had cancer and so none of their organs are really usable. But as they get closer to death, we use eye drops, special lubricating eye drops extensively, and upon the moment of death, drape wet, warm towels across their eyes so that they'd be appropriate for cornea transplants.
Oh, cool. There you go.
Nice.
I've had to do it a couple of times. It's pretty nifty.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just not all that convincing, and
No.
I think it's just general hysteria because it's the same. I don't know. Once somebody says that an area is weird, more people are going to go there, and
see
only
weird stuff.
people who want to see weird shit are going there. So of course they're the people who are going to see weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people who are expecting to see weird shit.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
and they said a bipedal creature, so I guess like Bigfoot got in there, and
Flashback to the Bigfoot episode.
Yeah, they saw basically like Bigfoot like creatures out there.
And the hyena could easily be like
A dog.
or a coyote, maybe sick with mange or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, from all you've said, nothing is really concrete. And the orbs in the sky, like, there's ball lightning that has been, like, a recorded phenomenon.
Yeah, that was on my list that I hadn't read yet. But yeah, ball lightning was another thing that it could have been.
Yeah. And, like, ball lightning, it used to be mystic, but, like, scientists now say that it exists. They just don't know how the fuck it works.
Yeah.
Like, a bunch of stuff in science still.
I want to talk about a recent paper which has investigated the phenomenon called ball lightning. It's very rare, and for a long time, in fact even now, it has been a mystery exactly how ball lightning is formed. It appears as a glowing ball of light that sometimes manifests itself during thunderstorms, particularly after an ordinary lightning strike. And this ball can range in size from about golf ball size to perhaps even 1 or 2 meters across. And these balls seem to drift in the air just above the ground for a short time before they fade and disappear. There are lots of historical records of this phenomenon. Some of them are quite dramatic. There was one from the 17th century in England which claimed that a ball lightning, perhaps about 2 meters in diameter, pretty much demolished a country church. It went inside the church and knocked bricks down and apparently killed 4 people and injured many more. So it's been a long-standing mystery how this stuff gets formed. When I was an editor at Nature, we would very often receive papers claiming some new theory of ball lightning. Papers, I should say, of varying quality. But there have been some sound ideas for how this stuff might be formed. And one idea is that somehow the atmospheric electricity creates a kind of glowing plasma ball in the air. And some researchers have made plasmas like this in the laboratory, which look a little bit like ball lightning. Another idea that was put forward quite recently is that an ordinary lightning strike, when it strikes the ground, vaporizes some of the substituents of the soil, and essentially creates an atomic vapor, a gas of excited atoms, which then condense again into tiny particles, and perhaps these particles join together to make little filaments. And they've got all this excess energy, which they then radiate as light. Now, the paper that I want to talk about is one that has recently been published in Physical Review Letters, and I've written about it for the American Physical Society. And it records the first spectrum of ball lightning. So it was taken by a team of Chinese scientists who are based at the Northwest Normal University in Lanzhou in northwest China. And they had taken equipment out, video equipment and spectrometers, to the remote region of the Qinghai Plateau to look at ordinary atmospheric lightning. And through sheer good fortune, they happened one night to see the formation of a ball lightning, and it happened directly after a cloud-to-ground lightning strike. So this ball appeared. It was about they estimated about 900 meters away from the recording equipment, and it looks on the video huge. It looks about 2 meters in size. This is partly an optical artifact. It's actually the actual size is probably much smaller than this. But what is crucial about this observation, it's not, as some media reports have suggested, it's not the first time ball lightning has been captured on video, but it's the first time that the spectrum of ball lightning has been taken. And what that means is that the light that the ball lightning emits has been broken down into its component wavelengths, so that we can see how intense the light is at different wavelengths. And what's important about that is that from the spectrum, the researchers have been able to deduce what is in this glowing ball, because elements, chemical elements, tend to emit and absorb radiation, light, at very particular wavelengths that act then as a kind of a fingerprint for the chemical identity of those elements. And so within this spectrum, the researchers saw little spikes corresponding to the emission from particular chemical elements. And what they saw was that prominent amongst those elements were ones that you would expect to find in soil. Calcium was there, and silicon, and iron. So this very strongly suggests that the ball lightning is indeed made up of atoms that were present in the soil and that have been vaporized by an ordinary lightning strike. This ball lasted for just a little more than a second, so it was there was very little time to get any more information than this. And the researchers themselves confirm that really we still don't have enough information from this spectrum to be able to definitively say whether a particular theory of the formation of ball lightning is correct or not. But as one researcher said, who I spoke to about this work, what it does seem to confirm is that this ball lightning, at least, is made of dirt.
It's a thing. They just don't know how it works.
Yeah, and there's also pockets of methane swamp gas that can spontaneously light when they come out of the ground, when they hit the oxygen of the air and all that. Like, ask anybody in Louisiana, and you'll find out that the people that live out in the swampy areas, they see little bouts of flame all the time from the methane coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
doesn't seem very mysterious to me.
Yeah,
Venus is covered in lakes of methane.
Yeah.
Lakes of Methane is the name of my new grindcore band.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, and last point about the cows. I used to grow up on a cattle ranch, and like all of them were like stuck in the thing. Cows are fucking weird. Like one day they'll be spread evenly all over the paddock, and one morning they'll all be in the corner, like whether it's cold or not. Like they just have weird group behavior sometimes.
I have a question.
Yo.
Does anybody else have a smart TV?
Yes.
Does your TV like ever just randomly turn on like on its own?
Yeah.
Yes, right?
And makes loud clicking noises
the
sometimes.
first time it happened, it freaked me out. I thought for sure, like, I was like, what is going on? And this is what I'm talking about too. Like sometimes things just happen. And then like as soon as it happens, like you start thinking like other things. You get really paranoid, and then, like every little sound you're just like, oh god, like my house is now haunted. Like I don't know how, but just
rest in peace.
Yeah, I have a Google Home Mini, and I use it to control my TV, and sometimes it just randomly talks like in the middle of the night and freaks me out.
That's so freaky.
I'm so militantly skeptical that it just ends up wasting my time trying to figure out what actually did it, and it would just be a lot more easy if I could write it off as ghosts.
Yeah. Ghosts.
As always, there's lots of. I think Randy's $1 Million Prize is still active. I don't think he's in charge of it anymore, but his foundation is. I mean. If you prove a ghost exists, or if you prove that a phenomenon exists, there's $1 million for you. And the fact that hasn't been taken yet, despite many challenges, is I don't know. Like you think that somebody would either want to donate $1 million to charity or become a little rich themselves by proving that a ghost exists, but it hasn't happened yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the end.
Yeah.
For Occultae Veritatis, I'm Sage Murray.
Ood Gallifrey.
Leon Filger.
Joining us in studio.
And me.
All right. Well, love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
There we go. Another lovely episode from Sage Murray. This time we dive a little bit more into the paranormal. Hope you guys liked it. Our palate cleanser for this week is You Can't Enlist Me by the artist Farrowin, sent into the email box. If you would like to submit a song, just go to ovfeedback@gmail.com. Once more, You Can't Enlist Me by Farrowin. Enjoy.
Walking in the dark, I know I'm never alone. The ones who bear the mark try to follow me home. Haunting my mind like the thought of being dead, appearing as a figure at the end of my bed, yeah. Now, killer on the movie screen, burned intruder on your dream. Teenage death on Halloween. This is fucking real, not some uncut scene. I know there's something down there waiting for me, trying to pull me into the nightmare. You can't enlist me. Written in a book when it didn't seem true. I swear I see him in the mirror when I'm walking through. Paranoia tells me I heard steps on the floor. I blew it off until I seen the hand beneath the door. No! Cold red eyes, no fangs, no fur. Dressed in black and posing as a counterculture. No airborne undead virus with the cure. Defeat us in the flesh with a smile for a lure. I know there's something down there waiting for me, trying to pull me into the nightmare. You can't enlist me.
Alrighty, back with the after show. Once again, I'm Ood Gallifrey.
Sage Murray.
Leon Pilger.
We got an email from Rory O'Connor, and it reads, Hi, occultists.
Hello.
I just want to take a quick minute to heap you all with praise from your neighbors down south here.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. I suppose you are technically considered Pacific Northwest.
No, we're not.
No, we're definitely not. We're Central Plains.
Central Plains, prairies.
Yeah, we're flyover country Canada.
Yeah, we're right above Montana and North Dakota.
Yeah, middle range.
Yeah.
But I'm only about 15 minutes from Ontario here.
Oh, fun.
You're fairly close to us.
Yeah.
It takes me a long time to get into a new podcast, and I'm often fairly picky about the content and the host, but you guys sucked me in right away.
That's what she said.
Oh, yeah. Your chemistry, solid research, openness, and general good intentions are really refreshing.
Oh.
We all...
If you knew how shaky our research actually was.
Oh, yeah.
We've been getting better.
We've been getting better.
It's been improving, but we mean our disclaimer. Like, don't take us as the final word. We're just people that spend like a few hours researching for the episodes. So go to actual experts in their fields for the actual...
We're not experts.
Yes.
I'm an expert in drinking shitty beer. That's about it.
We all happen to be about the same age, and I find that I sit on the same side of the fence in terms of you and beliefs, experiences, and worldview.
Nice.
I used to also study a lot of NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and PUA crap in college.
Let's pick up artists.
Yeah.
I knew that one.
Yeah, so he studied a lot of the same stuff I did in college. But I used it to boost confidence and sleep around in the goal of finding long-term relationships. Well, I'm glad you got out of that. I had to recover and start work to see women as people again after I got out of that.
Nice.
So yeah. But you bring a lot of objective review to some really fascinating topics. I admit, you even changed my mind on a few things, and you did so in a non-preachy, enlightened, and well-thought-out manner.
Aww.
Yeah, this is the true mark of some hard-earned experience coupled with solid personal beliefs. I think it's one of the goals I wanted to do with this podcast. I think what we all want to do with this podcast is bust some myths and
break down some stigmas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about some things that are hard to talk about.
Yep.
When I jumped around your episodes, for the first few you started on, your poison was almost always a Budweiser.
Sorry.
Yes, before we got the Patreon, we had fridge beers.
Yeah, fridge beers.
I consider this to be something akin to an international incident or cultural tragedy, especially hailing from Buffalo and being a stone's throw from 5 amazing breweries and distilleries. So on top of sending you all some 716 hot sauce,
I'm so excited.
I'm going to include some local distilleries and local brewery products. Yes, Budweiser is a common drink here, and yes, I do know some folks who grew up on it and still drink it as their go-to, but there's a much more pathological question than just liking shitty beer. It dives deep into the core essence of the American mind and the beers of our forefathers.
That's deep. That's kind of intense.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for sharing your stories, your passions, your observations with all of us. I think as an elder millennial, born in 84.
Nice. I call myself an elder millennial too, and I was born in 87.
I'm an elder millennial born in 85.
I don't know what I am.
You're a young millennial.
Oh, yes. I would love to help provide some research or even a talk at some point. Next time I would visit my lovely neighbors to the north, I'd love to try and get near your province. Yeah.
Please do. Come.
Any listeners out there, if you're in Saskatoon, hit us up, ovfeedback@gmail.com. If we're having a recording anytime the date that you're in town, we'll bring you into the studio.
Don't do it right now because it's minus 40 Celsius, which is also minus 40 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, don't come here right now.
Yeah. Have you considered of getting into the topic of indigenous Saskatoonians?
Yes.
Mohawk,
Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, Seneca tribes.
Thank you very much. I would have fucked those up real hard. are in those neck of my woods, and I've had friends in all tribes, but I've always found their stories are culturally fascinating, and I'm admittedly curious about Saskatoon.
Got Cree, Dene, Dakota, Lakota,
Saltos,
Soto.
No, yeah,
it's not Saltos. It's Soto.
You know, I think it would be a good episode at some point to learn about the land that, our forefathers stole from the indigenous people here.
Treaty 6 territory.
Yep. Learn about the land that we stole from them.
No.
Yes. Much love to you all from down south. Belated congrats on all the babies.
Thank you.
I think fur and otherwise.
Yeah.
I hope.
You're included too.
Nothing is as powerful as that. Cheers, Rory Brennan O'Connor II.
We love you, Rory. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for writing in. If anybody else wants to write in and give us an episode suggestion, correct us, or
yell at us, question us,
shoot the shit, ask some questions, whatever, ovfeedback@gmail.com.
or slide into our DMs. I talk with listeners all the time. I've actually had one of my upcoming episodes about autism, was actually a listener helped me with research on that.
Oh shit. Yeah, so, hit up our DMs. We're pretty friendly people.
I definitely am. I want to talk to you.
Yeah. So with the after show, I'm Mood Gallifrey.
Sage Murray.
Leon Felger.
Good night.
Good love you. Bye.